Okay, so next I decided I'm going to tackle this tank. This tank has one issue. It's rusty inside. Now there is a product that I've used before, and it's basically paint for the inside. So you pour in a can of paint and you roll it around in the tank, and it coats the inside of it. So that's one way to tackle it. But I'll first have to make sure that there's no little holes. Now, while you mightn't see any holes coming through, they could be underneath. You just don't see them. So I'll fill it up full of fuel and clean it out and see how I get on first. So before I buy anything else, that's what I'm going to do there. The other thing I need to do, because I'm going to do my own subframe from scratch, I'll make it suit, so that's not really an issue. These mounts aren't really an issue. But what I do want to get rid of is these little fairing mounts for the side fairing. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to chop them off, both sides, and yeah, see how I get on. Just going to grab a Sharpie. Now, you can obviously use a hacksaw for this. I have a cut-off tool that works off the compressor, but I can't find it at the moment. So I'm just going to use my favourite tool in the workshop, which is the angle grinder. I don't know about this. I haven't decided about this. This is the indent for the seat. What I might do is I might fill it and fade it in with fibreglass, because obviously there'd be no seat in there. My seat kind of finishes up here, so this is kind of an oddball shape that's going to be left behind. So I might just fill that, but I'll see. And these stickers, there's a whole load of dents, so there's going to be a lot of sanding on this. But these stickers are lacquered over, and that's kind of what I'm going to go with as well in the end. So yeah, I'm going to have to sand this down before I can start taking the stickers off as well. So that's going to be a bit of work. This thing is stuck on. It's cheap. Never buy cheap ones of these. The glue on them can be terrible. They could actually damage the paint. So this thing is stuck on like there's no tomorrow. So that's going to be difficult enough to get off as well. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of work on this. This is not something you're going to do in an hour. This is going to be a good 4 or 5 hours of work at least. So yeah, okay, let's chop that off. Now, if you're going to do this yourself and you're not used to using an angle grinder, I suggest just use a hacksaw. It's easier, and then you can use an angle grinder or something like that just to kind of smoothen out the edges or something. But yeah, if you're not used to angle grinders, don't go at this. And yeah, make sure you wear something on your eyes. The last thing you want is a chunk of metal in your eye. Oh, that's pretty good. Close enough. There's a little lip there that I'm just going to correct now, but all in all, it's pretty good. Okay, this is the far side. Now I may have to turn this around a little bit. I don't know how that'll fit on the bike, but those are kind of details I'm not worried about at the moment. So, south of that line. That's pretty good. Close enough. Just straighten out the other side. Now, there's a little little more to be done, but I'll have a look. I'll get rid of this line first. I'll just make sure I don't go over. I can't put any material back on, so there's the two tags cut off. So yeah, I'll get stripping. I'll get stripping on all these bits and pieces, and get this sanding, and I'll make a decision on this. I did forget to mention one important thing. If you're ever painting a tank, you see here wasn't done very well. The paint stopped here, and basically the cap went on. But what happens then is fuel, when you spill fuel in, and you have an edge like this, fuel gets in under the paint, and it starts to bubble up around the tank. So you'll see there's a little ridge now. There, you see that? So that wasn't painted all the way. It was just basically painted as far as here and then left alone. Where I want to paint it all the way inside there. So I don't have a little edge around here where fuel or anything can get in at, water or anything else, and starts destroying the paint job. So yeah, and you can actually see around here that has actually happened. So yeah, that was just a kind of important aside. When you're painting these things, make sure it's painted all the way to the edge here where it should be. Now, as you can see, I'm removing the sticker. The best way I find to do that is take a blade, a real sharp blade, and just gently pry it. Now, you could probably heat it up a little bit, and that might ease things up. There's so much lacquer on there that it's just peeling. So, long blade, and something like this. And you can see it just pops off. But it does take time. But the blade has to be really sharp, so brand new blade. It's just important to get all the sticker off, because that's not going to sand at the same pace that the paint is sanding. So you'll end up with a hole then. If you have any stickers left, you'll end up with a hole around the sticker, and the sticker will still stay. You're going to get started, it seems to go nicer. See, there's the sticker and there's the lacquer. You can actually see there's the sticker and there's the lacquer on top of it there. So, anyway, I'll keep going. Okay, so I mentioned this before, these two indents either side of the tank. The issue with them is that obviously on the original the seat went in there, and in my case now my seat is going to be real narrow up here. So these indents don't really play any role here, but they will look like they're there for some reason. So I was hemming and hawing whether I was going to get rid of them or not. So I've now decided that I will get rid of them. I'll flatten them out on both sides. So because that's quite a lot of filler to put in, what potentially could happen with heat over time is you could end up getting a crack around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the majority of it using fiberglass, this kind of body filler for large holes, as you see up to 75 millimeters, and that's roughly around that. And then I can put some filler over that then. So yes, that's the plan. So I'm going to fill this one and the other one. I've roughened it up. What you don't want here is you don't want something that's really smooth. You want it really rough. So we have something to attach to. So that's what I've done here. I've roughened it up. So yeah, let me get filling. Okay, so this is it's going to be a fiberglass. So it's a two-part. It has a hardener. So The reason I've masked it off, as you can see, is that I don't want this fiberglass stuff going all over the tank. It's an absolute nightmare to try and remove. It's not like a filler, it's not as easy as that. So you don't want too much of it, because then, and like you see, I'm wearing gloves as well, because you can't get this thing off your skin. So I also have a load of baby wipes at hand in case I need to wipe something, or even my hands. It's great stuff. Saying all that, it's great stuff. So don't think you're going to do this in one go. This is going to take a number of goes, so you're not going to get it done in one go. So do what you can, and also depending how much hardener you put in. If you put loads of hardener in, what will happen is it'll set off very quickly on you. Now this is more than enough. It's probably too much. Okay, look, it's too much, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so hardener. That's loads. Mix it all up. And this will set off in about 4 or 5 minutes. It's not. What will happen is this will generate a lot of heat, and it'll just go solid hard. So you'll see why now I have it masked off, because this is not that easy to work with. But like I said, it's a great product. It's just, it's a kind of a rough product, and then saying that you can sand this. It's not that you can't sand it, it will sand. If you think you've excess anywhere, remove it. Don't let it harden, and don't think you're gonna remove it later, because it just adds hours to your job. So this is pretty rough, but do the other side, but that's more or less it. Yeah, the rest of it will be filler. Okay, so that's one side done anyway, and I'll do the other side. Okay, so leave for about 5 or 10 minutes, let it harden. Okay, so I left that out for about 10 minutes or so out, and then in the sun, so that's great. So that's solid now, as you can see. So that's fine. So before I start sanding this and filling it and sanding it, I just want to show you one more thing, which is up here up the top. This is what someone has. You can see there's some filler there. So what someone did there before, and they make a crappy mistake, is they got a dent, and that obviously pushed some of the metal up, so they ended up with a high spot. And what happens there then is, if you end up with a high spot, people try and fill around it to compensate for this high spot, so they actually are looking to fill in the area. But really what you should do, you should get yourself a blunt chisel, a hammer, and just punch that high spot back down again, and then you can only fill that, rather than having all this extra filler around. It looks terrible. So that was a real bad repair that someone actually never finished. You could still see the filler, they never painted. So just take that, just give it a few. Oh, it's looking better. Yeah. Oh, that's low. There's another little high spot there, but that's it. Now I can fill that and sand it down and get rid of that old filler that someone put in there. And that'll be nice and flat there. So yeah, that was just one last thing. So I'll just get filling and sanding. Okay, so as you can see, I've kind of taken the high spots off it, and I have a rough shape. And now what I can do is I can start filling this. Anything that was kind of loose or just was going higher than this piece here, I just took it back, and now I can start filling it, because once I put the filler in, the filler will sand faster than this, so whatever is a high spot will come through anyway. So so I just want to take down any high spots first. So the filler will be will obviously give first before the fiberglass, and then obviously lastly the metal will give. So yeah, so I'll get this filling. Okay, so the filler is the same story as the fiberglass. So it's two parts. I've got a piece of glass here because I'm going to be doing so much filling. It's easy to clean as well. So, you know what, that's probably too much. You're better off going little often than loads. Yeah, that'll do. But it's the same hardener as the other one, so put a little bit in. The more you put in, the faster it'll set. Same rules. Make sure you mix it well till you get this kind of a pinkish look off it. Now, if you do little amounts and often, what will end up is you'll get less air bubbles, which means you'll actually have to fill it less times. If you keep slapping it on, you're going to end up with a load of air bubbles inside of it, and then you're going to have to go over it over and over and over again. So you find it, well, this one is not as bad as the fiberglass is in. It's not going to go all over. It goes all over your hands, you can wipe it off. Now, again, wipe off any excess, because you're going to have to be sanding it down later. So you see there's little air bubbles, you can kind of see them. So now I'm only getting a general shape on this. I'm not a final look or anything else like that. It's alright for the moment. To the far side. Okay, so it's all dried off. I'll just get sandy. Okay, I'm not going to show you 4 hours of me sanding, but that's the idea anyway. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so I finished the primer on the tank, and I'll show you that in a minute. But before I show you that, I just wanted to just show you what I was using to get this tank painted. So firstly, you've got the filler, the body filler, the fiberglass. If you want to cover in that little indent, if you're doing something like that, big holes, you need fiberglass. You could apply loads of filler, that's fine. It'll end up cracking in the heat, so there's no point doing that. You'll end up with little maps and stuff. No, forget it. Use fiberglass. So obviously the colours itself, base coat, it's water based. So you need thinners for that, which is hydropal. It's basically water, although you wouldn't drink it. I used an Etch Primer. I had a lot of exposed metal when I finished sanding it, so yeah, so I used an Etch Primer, and for that you need the activator. And then finally, for the clear coat, you need a hardener and the clear coat itself. So arguably, if you're not doing this every day of the week, it's cheaper to get somebody to do this for you. So that's probably the guts of €200 there. Close enough anyway. So yeah, so that's without using any tools. So you know, you'll probably get somebody to paint the tank up for 200 quid if it's not as bad as my one was. Now I'll show you the tank so far. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the Etch Primer on. I haven't shot the colour yet, and there's a good reason for that, because there's quite a lot of moisture in the air at the moment, and I don't want to do it in here because the whole place will be covered in dust. Anyway, you definitely wouldn't shoot this Etch Primer indoors unless you're well ventilated. It'll absolutely eat your lungs, so that's not something you're going to be doing inside. Now the color is black and it's water based, so that's okay. But I don't want any moisture in the paint, so I'm gonna have to wait till the weather is dry again, to do that. I think it's due to rain tomorrow, so I might just hold off for a day. Plus, I need to get the stickers on before I shoot the clear, so that's kind of another hold up. The stickers didn't arrive, so what I'm going to do next then is I might tackle the subframe while I'm waiting for the weather to clear. So yeah, I'll show you all the bits for the subframe.